Hey guys, you know me. I'm the Dawn of van life. Under normal circumstances, I am living out of my Toyota Sienna in California. But right now, while we're locked down for COVID-19, I am in Oregon, company housing. And I am with curious Karli, fellow former
Hi.
dweller, I guess is how I talk about you now.
Yes,
How are you?
I still have the van, but
Yeah. You're not really like full timing it right now. Yeah.
no, not at all.
So what's your status with the van?
It was for sale, and now it's not because of the circumstances. Nobody's really buying stuff right now, but I'll put it back up on the market when things figure themselves out.
Yeah. But now you have your SUV.
Yeah, I've got the Rav. It works really nice as like a commuter car, but I definitely can't live in it. It's way too small.
I think it's easier to move up than move like down. Like if you start in a car, but then you move to a van, like the concept of going like back to a car, like is not fun.
No, especially if you're meaning to live in it. I wouldn't recommend my year of RAV4, but some people live in RAV4s and they work really well. But I would have to take like everything out besides the driver's seat to be able to lay down.
Yeah. And if you need it as a regular vehicle, like there's certain changes you don't want to make to it. Like one of the reasons I couldn't do regular Uber and I could only do Uber Eats is because I didn't have seats in my van, and I couldn't be like, oh, I got one. Like no, you had to like have a regular, like fully functional vehicle to be able to do those.
Yes.
So I just defaulted to just doing the food delivery because nobody cares.
Yeah,
um,
that's
so you're doing
I just
Instacart, right?
yeah, I just started Instacart a couple days ago and it's been interesting, but my little Rav is like the perfect size to do it with. So I've been enjoying that, and I already had like the cooler from living in the van, and you need to have like and what are they called? Those bags, that insulated bags. That's the only thing you really need, and then you can just go to it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you were able to find an essential job in the middle of all this. It has
Yeah.
not been fun.
Yeah, I'm glad it worked out. I tried a few other ones, but not everybody's like really hiring for gig apps right now, which is weird. Have you noticed that?
Um, I'm like Amazon Flex. I thought they had just stopped using their Flex drivers for a while, but then I started getting notifications. Unfortunately, like I would have to like call a lot of them and reassign myself because I'm in Oregon right now, and a lot of them
Hmm.
default move me. Um, and since like I was able, luckily, to get a little bit of unemployment, so that's going to keep me afloat right now. And I'm just trying to see how a few more things iron out. But it's good to know that like I have apps I'm already signed up for, um,
Hmm.
that I could use. That I'm like, it's always nice to have those in your back pocket. I feel like, because you can
Yeah.
stop them the second you want to, basically make full use of them at those moments when you really, really need them. Um, so I'm grateful for that, but also like I'm like I don't even know who I can talk to, because like Uber, for example, a lot of their like stations, and last time I
Mhm.
had to change locations, I went into Uber and was like, okay, here's my weird situation, and a human being was able to help me, because they have hubs, but you can't do that now. Like all their hubs are closed. So if there's any like hiccups online, you just have to wait it out if you're registering for those apps right now. So
Mhm.
able to find one that you could use right now.
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of it, like the background checks, are taking like weeks. I'm over a week on one of them just coming through, and I'm like, what's the holdup? But they're like, it's the way it is right now. There's not too many people doing background checks, so it takes longer.
Yeah. I mean, that's also kind of the problem with unemployment because I know, like, at least where I was, there were some people who were on contract whose contracts hadn't started yet, and they were
Mm.
told they were eligible for unemployment, but your standard unemployment application wants to know about your last 18 months. And so while they're telling us on one end that those people are eligible because, they were contracted to work, it's more of a struggle with unemployment because so much of that application is designed around people who've had like a set place for years. And another friend of mine who works in theater, they hadn't worked their job for the past 18 months, and they're telling them that they need to call in, and you can't get anybody on the phone because everybody's trying to call in. So people with non-standard employment are really struggling right now.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Yeah, unemployment does suck because I'm kind of in the same like awkward boat where I don't think I qualify for unemployment under normal circumstances. And so it's like I think the state is trying to push through all of the people that don't qualify, and that process is taking a really long time. I don't know. The people that are getting unemployment probably qualified with their previous job for it, not their current job. So I don't know. Like it's for me, it's still pending. I don't know if I'll ever be able to get an actual check at this point.
Yeah. Or it's a question of when you'll actually get it, which doesn't help you while you're waiting to like pay your bills. It's like my bills aren't on pause for your application process. Um,
No, it's true. And yeah, and like thankfully some apartment complexes are being a little bit more um are being nicer. I know that Verizon's doing some things and like all the different utilities that we use are responding well, but it's still not like it's not like the bills just go away. They're just
yeah,
trying to be more accommodating.
yeah. It's
And
like we'll work with you, but
but you still gotta give us the money.
we'll figure something out. But don't think you're getting off.
Yeah, like student loans are extended, but they don't go away.
Yeah. So let's move on to happier topics, or topics I hope are a little bit more happier. So I wanted to get your thoughts. So RTR, we met at RTR 2 RTRs ago, and
Yep.
that was kind of like the last like traditional RTR. Um,
Yes.
what do you think about the change in RTR this past year? Even though I didn't go and you didn't go, but like as far as like the format, do you have any thoughts on it? Do you think it like there's no choice but to go in this direction with the way it was growing, or like do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, funny this is one of your questions because I just made my roommate watch our video talking about the women's RTR.
Yeah.
And I forgot how much we went over in that. But as far as like RTR used to be very just whatever, show up, park, have a good time. And then it progressively has moved into a lot stricter with rules. And up until like, well, this year, 2020, they moved it to the fairgrounds and you can't camp there. You can just show up for a seminar and sit in the stands and then like leave and go find camp again. Um, I think it was a good move, and I like that they kind of changed the scenario of how it was because the main issue was people wanting to be loud in their camp and then also like respect the where the seminars are. And I think it did need to be changed, like nightlife and day life needed to be separated, and then people could go make their own camp and come to seminars if they want, but everybody's within a few miles radius of each other in quartzite, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like it had unfortunately reached a size where it could no longer be like, hey, let's just, because there was a sort of in its beginnings, let's just all show up and hang out together. And now it's become such a large thing that these official policies also coming into play, where things like dumpsters are becoming a concern and people expecting porta potties. And I think it's like a you can't win situation because on one hand, if you don't have them, people are going to complain about them. If you do have them, they're going to complain about where they are and their accessibility. So having this quote unquote fairground type situation, it would make it more okay. If this is going to become official, then it's a place you come, you have activities for the day, and then like you can still have your party camp fun, but it's something you need to like organize within your own little small world outside of
Yeah.
some of the officialness of it. Um, so it's just what happens. But I was glad I got to go to the last like sort of old style one before the shift happened. And mine not going this year, and maybe you feel the same way, was much more about the circumstances of work and my life at that point than sort of rejecting that.
Yeah, I would have enjoyed showing up maybe for a little bit of it, but yeah, I even wanted to go to the van build, and within a few weeks of it, I broke down and I was like, I
Yeah,
guess
your
life
drama.
is I couldn't go, but I mean, I would have built up the excitement to go to the RTR again if I was still on the road and seeing and like I don't know. I support Bob on certain levels, but not on every level, and I think that's the same with a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. Even like I was like, I'm not, when I found out the van bill cost money, I decided not to go. It wasn't because I was against the concept of it being charged. Like I get why those decisions get made.
Mhm.
Um, but I was just like, it's not a thing for me that year. I figured out solar on my own. Like my major goals to go there were kind of gone. I do think if it was free, I just would have gone for the experience. But like my major, like what I would have gotten out of it as far as like um technical improvements to the van, I'd kind of figured those things out at that point. So that was sort of like I kind of figured out at that point. That's when I had my really great job with the children's theater. I love that job. I miss that.
Aw.
They were so cute. Like the most adorable thing ever. I did a couple of these shows with like little kids, and the funniest thing is like a little kid doing a mic check because they don't understand that they need to keep talking so you can get levels on the mic. So like they'll say their line and then they'll stop. And
Like, keep
this
going, keep going. They're so cute.
are so cute.
Yeah, I wouldn't have given up that job to go to the van build either.
Yes. It's like adorable children, that adorable kids. I guess. Um, but yeah. So as far as like your future in nomad life, do you see yourself going back to that? Do you see yourself getting a van? Do you see yourself in an RV in the future? Do you see yourself as a part timer? Like, what do you think of when you think of nomad life in your personal future?
Yeah, that's a valid question. I get asked often, but the way I usually plan things is I have no idea, and then I get a wild hair and I go for it. So at this point, I don't have any plans right now. Like just kind of trying to survive through this, and I know people are like, "It's easy, just get in the van and go, and then you can live off of YouTube again." I'm like, look,
No.
talked about earlier, it was like there's no money on YouTube. You can't do that. So that's not really like a saving thing that I could just jump into and it would be fine. I've got to figure out other things first, but I
Advertisers,
definitely want. What was that?
advertisers don't want to spend money right now, so
Nobody
that
wants to spend money.
well, YouTube revenue is down for everybody.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. People say just jump in the vehicle and go until it breaks down or you need gas.
Yeah, exactly. Or you end up in a town that doesn't have resources and it's all closed down and then they're telling you to move along. And it's like, what? Oh my gosh, I'm desperate here. Help me out.
Yeah, it is really interesting. Seeing sort of how everybody is making decisions, like people in the nomadic and RV communities, how they're making decisions right now, like if they go back to their home bases, if they don't, what it means not to, what it means to, especially some of the people who were like out of the country
Mhm.
and had to choose to leave their vans in order to get home. Um, and it's weird because like the world order as we knew it changed and so much survival in this lifestyle. I mean, gyms are gone. Like that's like an
Yes.
essential resource to van life, and it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone. But truck stops are open, and that's the good thing. Like you have to pay a little bit more, but you can still get a shower. So that's good.
Yeah, and that's
I've
basically
been
your choice at this point. And but like a
yes.
plan membership for unlimited showers is way cheaper than pay per use truck stops, and so it just change. Even if you're like out in the middle of nowhere, it does still change how you live.
Mhm.
At some point you knew, oh, I can go back into town and get what I want, whatever I need, and time I want, and depending on where you are, that may not be true right now. Um, I don't know what your shopping experience has been for Instacart and things. People expect to find that you're not just not finding right now.
Yeah, well, so far everybody's been nice on there and nobody's like given me bad feedback. Um, but it's hard to find substitutions for some of this really weird stuff. Like stuff I didn't even know was out of stock. Like wheat flour is out of stock. And I'm like, what do I replace that with? Sounds kind of like a dietary restriction. Things like that. I'm like, okay, well, let's not spend an hour trying to find a replacement because I'm sure they just want their groceries now. The stuff that he did find.
Yeah, that would be fun. So like, I don't even know what to offer.
And Instacart's pretty good about like find something and just scan it. They like really don't care. I could like scan in a banana for peanut butter and it'll be like, okay, well, 90% of people don't want this, but you can put it in.
Oh, it's the cart just to do weird substitution.
Yeah. I think that would get some bad reviews, but like it's possible.
No, I would do, but yeah, that would just it would be funny to like message the person. Just wanted to give you a laugh. No,
Yeah. Use Instacart for all your shopping. It'll be this fun.
no.
A lady
Oh,
literally said, I was like, I hope I did the substitutions right for you. She's like, oh, it'll be a surprise. It's okay.
oh, that's so cute.
Okay. That's how shopping is these days.
Were people like really paying attention to like the mask thing out there? Because I know like before they were like mask, and now they're like mask.
Yeah.
Um,
Have you
so
been wearing masks?
I've transitioned. I made myself a mask. I got like I don't even know how to explain this mask. I was using like a little bandana I had, but it was really lame. So now I have
Mhm.
like this exfoliating mitt thing, and the good thing is like you can stuff it with some other layers, and then I got these clips that'll clip around my face. So it's like,
Okay.
but I also eBay and I ordered a mask. You can get them off eBay.
How
People
much
have
was
all
it?
it wasn't that much. It was like less than $10 or something like that. There's some in
Okay.
China. I'm like, I'm not getting anything shipped from China, so I like went to US only. It takes long enough to get stuff in the US right now. And so like it should be here. I ordered like a week ago. It should be here by like next Friday according to the tracking. Um, and that's just because and there are people who are making masks and selling them on eBay. So if you think you're good at masks, especially like cute ones, with just go get some patterned fabric, sell it on eBay. There's your business right there.
Yeah,
Because
really.
there are people like making homemade masks and selling them on eBay. And I
People
know,
are out of coffee filters.
and then there's lots of videos on how to make them, but like I was like, still too much.
Yeah, I'll just buy one.
Yeah, I'll
I
just
should.
and they weren't that expensive. So it was just like, but I do have a homemade one if I need it, and it works. It's like I said, it's an exfoliating like uh mitt thing. I can't even really explain it. It's like over there on the door, but I don't really grab it.
It sounds great. It sounds like it would work better than the average mask.
There's a picture on Instagram. Check me out at the Dawn 11. Oh,
I need to look this up. I need to see it. I'm gonna go find it.
you know, you fixed my Instagram. You were the one that told me to just add the, because remember I couldn't get Donna Vanlife at first, and you were like, try
Oh
life, and I tried it, and that was fun.
yeah. There you go. The Donna Van Life. Oh, okay. There's her mask.
Yeah, that's fun.
I wouldn't have guessed it was like made out of an exfoliating glove. You can't even tell.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Glad it looks good on the photo. I still
Yeah, it looks good. The way you were describing it though, I was like, what is she wearing?
you probably like fingers. It's like, you know, it's more like you to put your whole hand and like, you know, exfoliate. So yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah.
it's not a glove, so it's not. That would have been funny.
That would be good.
So as far as like apartment life versus van life, things you like, things you miss, how's it feel? I know what I like and what I, you know, miss between the two, but I want to hear what you say first.
Okay, yeah. Now that we've both transitioned into like four walls, I like microwaves and dishwashers. They really help, and also not having to go find a laundry mat every couple weeks is nice.
Figure out where to pee.
Yeah. um, my roommate is listening in, and she said the bathroom should be my first thing I say. The bathroom is, yes, a lot easier to navigate now that it's just a room right next to me instead of like finding bathrooms at grocery stores and gas stations. So
Yeah.
those are probably the main things, and like I
Okay.
get to shower more often now. I
Yeah.
probably smell better.
Well, one of the things I really like, well, microwaves, yes. Microwaves are good when you're just like feeling lazy and you just want to warm something up real quick. Or even for leftovers, like leftovers in a microwave is great. Like if you spend one day of effort, you can have leftovers for a couple of days that just you zap in the microwave real quick. Microwaves are great. I would just like having a standing kitchen. Um, the bathroom, obviously, I have to agree with that one. You know, it's nice to go into a, and you don't have to like travel to it. Obviously, you could always like travel to like truck stop showers were like a gift when I was in a van because like I got a private room, unlike the gym where it's this huge shared space. But it is nice in the morning, you know, and walk through a door and there's like, you know, completely all the shower and the tub, I mean, you know, bath. So I said
Yeah.
like a place with a bathtub. I've always liked those. And yes, a flushable toilet is nice. You know, all those things are very, very nice. But you know, I do kind of miss like the freedom, you know, the sort of adventure of waking up sometimes. Like there would be moments where like honestly I forgot where I parked or where I was. And then I woke up in the morning and I'm like, oh that's where I am.
It's so beautiful. I didn't know.
Sometimes it wasn't. It was always a surprise. It's like, oh, I'm just in the Target parking lot.
Yes, I've totally done that before. Like, am I at the truck stop or Walmart? I can't remember. Yeah, it's true. Or like parking at night so you don't even know what anything looks like, and
Yeah,
then during the day you're like, oh, okay, that's where I found.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've definitely done that when I was like driving, like even driving up to RTR. There were a lot of times I just stopped overnight and I was just like, all right, I'm done driving. I also did this when I drove up to Canada for a day. And it was like, yeah, I just went off the road at night. So I didn't know what the world was like when the sun came up. And it was like, oh, okay. That's where
This is pretty good. Yeah, I can dig this. I
Candy
was
Yeah.
I was at a gas station somewhere in California, and I parked at night. I just like found a parking spot, and in the morning I woke up and I was like really close to the building, and I was like, wow, nobody like made me move. That's surprising. And then there was like this mountain like right there, like right behind the building. I don't know where it was, but I was like, oh, whoa. Like it was one of the best sights from a gas station I'd ever seen.
Accident. I mean, that was kind of some of the fun of it, though. And I always say like there's disadvantages, especially when you don't have like all the things. I mean, even when you have all the things, it's
Mhm.
still. And I was talking to Black Opal the other day, and she put it well when she was like, "It's like using technology to go back in time." Because we have things like inverters and like power stations, but we're almost using technology in a way that's harder than it is in like a house. Because you don't think about like I remember when I got solar, people were like, "Oh, you can have an electric heater now." Like people who don't live in vans, obviously, it's like, you know how much power like heat holds, and it's like you don't because you're in a house and you plug it in and it just works.
Yes. Yeah, I have that when I was trying to sell the van. It was on the market for a while, and I had a lot of people interested, and I'd get the weirdest questions. They'd be like, "So does the AC work?" And I'm like, "The what? Where did you see the AC unit? I don't know, what are we talking about?" And they're like, "So can you heat it at night, like when you're sleeping?" I'm like, "It's a car. Can you heat your car at night? Does it just like magically start heating itself?" And they're like, "Oh, so solar. What does that do?" Like that blows the AC, right? I'm like, you okay. I guess I also need to give lessons when you buy the van.
So here's your Van Life 101 booklet with your purchase about how this
Pretty much. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like you should know what you're getting into, but you guys just don't.
well they see like and like I don't want to play like the channel downgrade thing because everybody can afford different levels of van life.
Mhm.
Um certain like fantasy element that people dial into really understanding like suddenly all of your resources are going to become limited in a way because like a lot of like vans especially even if they have a sink there's only so much water you can carry and so like learning that lesson and maybe it's just living it is something I think you have to experience to learn almost like the smaller your vehicle gets the smaller your capacity to do things as well so even if you have a sink if you have like even a van your size, which was bigger than mine, like there's only so much of a water tank you can put in that without sacrificing storage. And so there's
Mhm.
all these micro decisions you're making that are almost, yeah, they're very pioneer like in a way. Like if you want like a flushable toilet and all it like that's gonna take up more space than like, an emergency bucket or something like all this stuff is gonna take up more space. So yeah, I don't know if any of that made sense.
Yes. Yeah, like even like the microwave. I had my own version of a microwave. It was a camp stove. I If I had leftovers, I'd throw it in a pan and put a
Yep.
lid on it and warm it up. Or if I wanted coffee, I had to heat up I'd boil water. Everything was just like I had a heating element, but I had to adapt it to that, and that didn't always work out. Like it didn't always do what I wanted it to
Yeah.
do. Leftovers didn't always get cooked the way they needed to be cooked, but it was still I still wasn't going without, I guess,
Yeah.
and that you're adapting, but there's not too many things that you go without because like if you're adapting, you're finding a way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like at that moment, sort of the freedom you have and the things you have access to are so much more important than the things that you don't at that moment. Like you don't have a microwave, but you know what? I have a way to heat up food. I
Mhm.
have a fridge now. I traded up. But like when I didn't have a fridge, it was like I figured out, and you did too, how to keep food in a way that worked. And you sort of what your ratio
Mhm.
of perishables to non-perishables could be.
Mhm.
When I didn't have a fridge, I learned to prioritize my non-perishables because like, the chances of those going bad is higher than my can of soup in the back of the can, back in
Yeah.
the back of the car, and so you just like prioritize, but you're okay because the things you're experiencing like are so much more valuable than the things that are, I don't even want to call them missing, but like the conveniences. That's a better word. The conveniences that aren't there. And like you said, you're not suffering.
Mhm.
Like if I had to wash up with a washcloth and a bucket, I was still clean. It wasn't as nice as standing under a stream of hot water, but I was clean and I had a way to clean myself. I had a way to go to the bathroom. Might mean I have to like pull out a bucket and toss a bag later. But if I needed to do it, that's probably the weirdest like first time experience ever when you have to do that the first.
Yeah. Yes, I went through quite a few different versions of having to use the bathroom, and my favorite by far is digging cat holes. I would much rather just go take a little shovel and go dig a hole and call it a day, burn my TP so that it's like non-existent and, don't have to do anything with it. There's just it is, and like as they say, you get a poop with a view, I always had campsites that had beautiful views, so it's just like a little bit of like my morning ritual.
Yeah. And then I think that adaptation is a thing because it's like you watch a bunch of videos and you see how other people do stuff and you're like, okay, that's how you do it. And then like you do it and it kind of works, but then you find this other thing and you try that and you're like, oh, this is much better. It eliminates, these steps, or like this makes my day a little easier if I do it this way.
Mhm.
Um, so it's like I think it's just like it's constant adaptation, and as long as you're open to that, like I
Mhm.
think the experience can be positive. It only becomes negative when all you're thinking about is the ways in which it's difficult. Like,
Mhm.
um, you can't run an induction cooker because you don't have like all the fancy solar. It's like you either get over that and get a gas stove, or you got to go home because you can't afford the
Yeah.
amount of solar it takes to run an induction, cooker.
Yeah, I think that's where the planning comes in a lot, is like making sure that this is a very like logical decision, and you set up everything that you want to do and everything you want to have, so you don't have that day where you're just like you don't understand why your day isn't working out, and it's like, well, you just didn't prepare, probably was the only thing.
Yeah.
But in also like adapting to whatever happens, um and it helps a lot to like talk to people. I didn't know how to do certain things until I started talking to people, and I was like, oh, that makes like a lot more sense. Like doing my dishes, I didn't know the whole vinegar and water thing. Like I
Yeah.
didn't know you could just spray your dishes down and then like that would be good. But some people like let their pets like the plates clean, and then that's like all the cleaning they do. And I'm like, whatever fits you.
And it's like, at the end of the day, you just experiment with stuff. Like I experimented with a lot of ways to wash dishes. Because at first you think, you're in a house and you have dishwashers or you have like a sink. I actually don't have a dishwasher, so lucky you. But like I have a sink and it's weird. And I noticed like in the van after I ate, I always clean my dishes right away because I didn't have
Mhm.
space for them to sit around. And I will
Exactly.
like breakfast, lunch, and dinner and go, I should probably wash it because there's a sink and they can just sit there and you can create like this massive bowl of water and like wash them. But like in the van, like you don't want to waste your water on like a giant tub of water. And so like spray methods, whether you're using like soap and water or vinegar or Van City Vanlife just says he does it with Lysol. I don't know. He says it's working out fine for him.
Well, as long as it dries, you don't want to like spray it with Lysol then eat your food off of it. But like I would wipe mine down with Lysol wipes and let it dry.
I mean, I think as long as you like kind of wipe it down and rinse it off, it'll probably be fine. But yeah, you just experiment with stuff and you figure out, and you learn from people. Like I never would have thought of just like spraying with a spray bottle, wiping it down, and then like
Mhm.
it's not super wet, so it's really easy to dry and you can put them away relatively quickly.
Mhm.
Um, Also, like I'm down to like, you know, the amount of dishes I use. like in van life is like so different. Like I pretty much eat out of the same plate like all day. Whereas
Yeah,
here it's tempting, like one plate, another and suddenly there's like 4 plates.
true. That's so true. Adapting to like how to do dishes and like bathroom being like right there instead of thinking of like planning your day around going to the bathroom and food like okay, this is the food for the next week and like because I'm not going to be near a grocery store, but now I'm like I could get groceries every day. There's no big deal with that. But and then the parish what was that?
Said not right now. Well, I guess it's your job now to get groceries.
We got to get groceries this weekend and I'm like maybe I should use Instacart. I don't want to go in. I work there now.
Yeah, now it's a job, so it's like, ugh.
Yeah, I like it though. I like the that I can just like go get someone's groceries and then I get to drive and like go see a new part of town and then I go back to the grocery store so it breaks it up a little bit instead of like living in the grocery store for 8 hours.
Yeah. I I actually like my little shopping trips now because I'm trying to really respect the whole like stay home thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I had my van had the radiator go out when I got to Oregon. Like I literally made it here and I was sitting in 7-Eleven and I'm like on my phone and I hadn't turned off my car yet and this guy like waves at my window and I don't know who this guy is. I'm like weirdo, what you want? And so I didn't say that to him. And I rolled down the window and he's like, "Is that your car?" And I was like, "Is what my car?" And like the coolant was actually coming out on the bottom. I think it just overheated and boiled over though because like they didn't find there was a leak that was already there, but it thank God wasn't as bad as it looked. Um,
Oh,
what I was gonna do, I was able to get it fixed. Honestly, thanks to my subscribers. Thank you, subscribers. Um,
oh, that's good.
but it was scary, and so I didn't drive the car because I was waiting for the money. So it just sat for the longest time, and I lived in that van day out, day in, day out. And I was so I got back in it to drive it like after it was repaired, and
Mm-hmm.
it was like the most exciting thing ever. And that was before the shutdown started. So I'd already not been driving. So I was living within like 3 blocks. And then the car was repaired, but I still didn't really have a reason to drive. And I was waiting to see how things were going to work out. Because at first it was like 2 weeks, and then it was like a month. And then it was like 2 months, which would have been into my contract. And I didn't know where that put me financially. And then finally the day came that I needed like supplies because I was running out of what I had. And it was just nice to get in the car and drive, honestly. Uh,
Yeah.
but or the sideways, Oregon is like really beautiful. And so like being able to like just drive through it and just look out the window felt really, really good. At that
Yeah. Gorgeous.
yeah. Uh,
Are you by the water?
hmm?
Are you by the water?
I can see the mountains out of my window.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So it's like literally I can stand on the porch and it's like it's really gorgeous. Like it's totally gorgeous. I love sitting on the porch right here. Um Definitely
Awesome.
than no, that's not fair. San Francisco's pretty if you like city scenic views, but San Francisco
Hmm.
is so annoying. I mean the streets are probably empty now. But when I was there, it was the same annoying, busy like city and it's like it's stressful.
Hmm.
But I had a job there I really liked.
Hmm.
Uh but yeah, it's definitely a prettier view than I'm used to just like waking up to in the morning.
Yeah.
um, but Medford, I go to frequently because they have the Walmart there, and it's the only place every fifth time that I find toilet paper.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good. I've been lucky on that front as well, but it's so shocking how the store you'll like go down an aisle with toilet paper and there'll be like quite a few there. Come back an hour later, it's gone.
Oh, yeah,
It's just gone. And like poof, somebody like came bought it all.
yeah. And I noticed like they're limiting the amount people can buy now. But I'm sure there's some like people who just like come, you know, several days at opening hours and get their max limit. I mean, honestly, like it's just me and like the other person sharing the bathroom because we there's a shared bathroom on the floor, and then basically I have
Mhm.
like my apartment with like a kitchen and a bedroom living area.
Mhm.
But that also I would assume has some toilet paper because they gave us some when we arrived. So basically, I have an
Mhm.
extra one more from when they gave me when they arrived. There's an extra one in the bathroom right now, and I'm going to assume they have some too. And since we have to share the bathroom at some point, I assume the roles will work out.
Yeah, that's true. You gotta like bringing your own roll of toilet paper into the bathroom,
Take it with me.
and then yeah, take it back.
But it's all right. It's comfortable.
It looks
And I'll,
comfortable.
I'll stay here for as long as I can, and then I'll get back in the van and figure out what next is.
Well, so what is your situation with your work housing since you aren't doing the job? How long are they going to let you stay there?
We can stay at least through May right now.
Oh.
Um, and hopefully by the top end of May, top of June, um, the world, even if they're like, hey, only go out in mask, maybe things will be opening up again and we'll be getting somewhere norm. If not, get in the van, figure out where I can go and go, and that's sort of my situation right now. But honestly, like because there are so few resources out there right now, like I feel like if I can stay until the end of May, it's kind of the smartest decision to make. I have
Mm.
access to water, a bathroom, a kitchen with a full size fridge. Even having a fridge in the car, like it's just slightly bigger than the cooler. So you know, it's not going to hold as much food. So if I would have to stock them in a certain way. But it's weird because like I'm prepared for them to change their mind, so I won't fill up the refrigerator. Like I keep it at a level where like I'd have to eat a few things and then I can put it all in the car fridge, even though I have like a completely full size refrigerator. I like won't stock it up.
Yes, yeah, I totally get you there. You're like, I'm always prepping, always thinking ahead, like, what? Oh, okay, I can't do that. I can't buy that. I can't do this. It's not going to fit in the van.
So, like, do you find because you've lived minimal for so long that that's carrying over into living in an apartment life, or do you see yourself spreading out more than you did when the amount of space you had forced you to be small?
I think for the most part, I'm still staying pretty like minimal and not buying too many things, like a few decorative things here and there. But for the most part, I try to spend money mostly on food and gas. And yeah, I guess I'm not spreading out. I like the idea of not having too much stuff, but I do really enjoy like all the furniture and stuff that already came with the apartment. So I didn't need to like invest in those things.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if I did ever officially, and I don't see myself doing that right now just because it's not financially smart and also like I feel the need for it right now. But if I ever did like feel the need to get back into an apartment, I think I would always want to be prepared that if the worst happened, I could pick up most of what I need and throw it in a vehicle and go on my way. And
Hmm.
I don't that'll ever leave me because like I was dog sitting and like this woman had like a 3-level condo and she was single with 2 dogs. And literally, I don't think I needed any more than the first floor. I only went to the second floor because that's where the kitchen was, and so that's where I made food and I fed the dogs. Her bedroom was on the third floor, and she had like changed the sheets and said I could sleep there. But I was like, I didn't see the point of using that third floor. There was a bathroom on the first floor where the living room was, and it was just like too much. Like it was just like I don't understand. And then there's like 15 tables in the house, and like for different purposes that I get because she had like they're all just tables. The desk downstairs, the coffee table in front of the couch, the table in the kitchen, and like in the van, my one table is like everything.
Yeah.
It's yes, it's where I cook at. It's and you end up like multi-purposing surfaces, and so you get in these buildings, and you're like, why do you need this? It can feel like I just don't understand. And the
No,
bedroom never used that turns in the store because there's an extra bed. It's
yeah,
interesting perspective you get on the world after you've like, you know, uh, made things work in multiple ways.
yeah. It's hard to like expand after you're like, oh, I didn't need to for so long. I just cleaned up after myself and like went on to the next task using the same little area.
Well, it's like the plate thing. It's like because in the van, like I would use the same plate all day, and now I'm like, plate for breakfast, plate for lunch, plate for dinner, all the plates, and then a tiny plate for my side dish. Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even use a plate. I'd be like, I cooked in the pan. I will just eat in the pan. I'll do that still, like cook something in a pot, and I'm like, well, I don't need to like go get another bowl. This is a bowl.
The round thing with my food in it. Why do I need to transfer?
Yeah. The other thing is like my parents, I would put all of our food in bowls all the time. I'd never use plates because I love bowls better than plates. Or I just eat it out of the pan. And I'd also stand while I ate because I'm just like, usually I can't really stand. I'm either like sitting on my bed or like on a cooler, but now I'm in this huge open space trying to like eat. I'm like, I don't, there was just weird things that I would do when I was in a house that were like very random compared to what my parents would do.
I have my charger. My phone's being- So
Oh
excuse
no.
my. All right, fixed it. Power, unlimited power of
Yeah.
house. It's funny because I remember seeing you did like a video like in your parents' house where you were like, "There's so much space." I think I remember that.
Uh, there was a lot.
Yeah, especially compared to living in a van.
I'm like 12 square feet or like 3,000 square feet. There's a big difference.
I actually do the standing in the kitchen thing all the time. Like I'll prepare the food and there's like a little table in here. It's a cute little like table with the little folding wings and it has like two chairs. I literally never eat that thing. I think it was because like everything was from the bed in the van. It was like so you're sitting in the van and you know you sit on the bed to cook and you sit on the bed to like work on your computer and like you sit and so like the option to not do that I guess is consciously attractive because I like make stuff and like I'll have the food in the kitchen and I'm like I can just stand here like everything's here.
Yeah.
So
It's
that is
like it has to, it's a conscious decision to be like, where am I going to eat this? I have so much room now.
yeah. I have options and options that don't include sitting.
Yeah.
While in clothes. I mean, like you can obviously always go out. Well, you can't always go outside, and I think that's the tricky thing. Because I know like when I came back to the van in the evening, sometimes when I was working and living in the van, on a work day, I come back to the van at night, and like obviously I'm stealth camping at that point, so I have to be quiet, have to stay in the van. You know, what I wanted to eat was limited by the fact that it was nighttime, so I couldn't like be cracking open windows and like frying stuff from the van. Whereas, so it's like, okay, I'm gonna eat a sandwich for dinner or salad, and it was like choices that didn't require, you know, me to pull like out cookers and stuff. And like now it's like I can eat whatever food I wanted, whatever time I want. So like it's like that's a change. That's nice. But it was nice, I will say, when I was living in the van. If I worked a long day and everybody's like, oh, I gotta drive home. I'm like, my house is outside. It has a bed.
Yes, I did really enjoy that when I would work and had my van so close to just be like when I was camp hosting, I was just like everything's in the van. I'm just, it's all right there. And rarely did I ever put like camp chairs outside, even though it was my camp. I was just
Yeah.
so used to being contained because I wanted to be able to pick up and go right away. And I don't want to set things up. I don't know. I was just really lazy in that. I was like, it's too far of a reach, or like if it rains, then it'll get all wet and I'll just leave it inside.
No, I think like you were the person like I observed because I remember when I first got there, I saw everybody setting stuff up. Like they would, park their van and they put out these chairs and these tables and all these things. And I was like, should I do that? Is that what people do? So like I try to imitate that. And that's how I lost some stuff that I never got back. No, it actually it's not a thief story. It was like I left it and then I took the van and went and I was like, well, I'm coming back here. And by the time I came back there, other people, it was when we were moving between WRTR and RTR. And so she grabbed
Yeah.
me and we tried to like reconnect forever. And it just never happened. I was just like, I'm just never gonna get it, and it's not that important. It was like a little table and a like camp chair that you can get from Walmart really cheap or something like that. And I just never got it back. But I remember watching you, and I really liked that. Like, you could pick up and like leave your spot whenever, and you still had everything. I thought that was cool. So I was a fan.
Yeah. I prefer it. I prefer it, and but I love people's camps when they do have everything set up because you can just come up and they've got 13 chairs. Like I don't know where they're holding all these chairs, and they're like have a seat, and it's like, oh, here's a party.
Yes.
But like come over to my van, it's never like that. I don't got anything out.
So we're like those people that go to other people's houses. We don't invite anybody back.
And I'll bring my own chair. Like I try not to be too much, but like I definitely have those. So my friends like Chuck and Ron, and they're just like so many chairs around the campfire, and they always have all the camp wood, and they've always got beer. So I'm like, maybe I should be more like them. That'd be, Karli's always got the party going on, but I'm really bad at starting campfires, so I don't volunteer myself anymore.
But yeah, I definitely had that feeling of like I felt like I didn't know how to do something because everybody seemed to like have stuff to set up, and I was like, I obviously don't know how to make. I don't have the things. I got over it, and I got really like, okay, this is how I kind of roll, sort of
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle type thing, and like I think that just happens at first, like again going back to at first you observe other people and you're like, okay, so
Mm-hmm.
this is the way you do that, and then like as you evolve into like your own rhythm, you find the things that work and don't work for you. And you see there's so many different ways to like do some things, and even down
Mm-hmm.
to bathroom choices like the cat hole or the bucket, and they may change based on situation. If you slept at the
Mm-hmm.
gas station, you can use the gas station parking lot or your bucket. What's your level of commitment. So I think like again going back to that flexibility, and that's what I still love about it. And that's why I tell people who are like, oh, are you going to get spoiled by having the apartment? And my feeling on it is like when you go on vacation and you stay at like a luxury hotel, like it's not real life. Like it's nice to have it while you have it, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not real. You're okay with going back to your house, even like if there's not all these luxury items that you had while you were at like the luxury hotel. Even though I'm calling it
Mm-hmm.
pretty average luxury hotel.
Yeah,
But
that's
that's
true.
So I had like questions and they're all gone.
Oh yeah, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no, I had questions and they're all gone. So this has gotten long enough, so I'm gonna wrap it up.
Okay.
um, uh, my wrap up question is actually I have two questions for you. One,
Okay.
what do you think nomadic life will look like on the other side of COVID-19? Do you think people will be excited to do it still? Or do you think like, do you see people rushing out to be in environments where they have to be near people? Or do you see people being very cautious for a while after this?
I think I get a lot of comments of people saying that everybody's gonna rush into van life because of how COVID-19 is right now, that like they'll want their freedom again. And so there'll be a huge movement towards van life again. As far as like mass society going back to their real lives, I think there'll be like generational differences. I think the older people will be very hesitant. I think the younger people will come out in droves to respond, you know, like to be social again. Um, and I don't know, like it's really difficult to be in van life right now in COVID-19, but afterwards, I'm hoping it'll be back to how it was, like, you know, normal rules, 14 days, and like you can, and there's resources everywhere for you because like campgrounds right now are shut down. So people can't use that. RVers who normally stay at RV campgrounds, there's nothing there for them.
Yeah.
So I hope those open up again.
Yeah. Um, and if you had to give one tip to someone who's thinking about getting in a car, van, RV, whatever, and hitting the road, like if you had one piece of advice, what would it be?
Um, I would say your vehicle is the most important part of the whole thing. So make sure it's tip top shape before you do anything to it. Um, and that you have systems in place to fix it up when things do happen. Because that's the number one thing that like stops people from continuing with the van life is their vehicles usually poop out on them.
Into a bucket?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, that's why I tell people, like, as much as I would love a bigger van, the mechanical security is always going to be more to me than the size of the vehicle. Because a big vehicle that doesn't move is, as useless as anything else.
Pretty much.
Uh, so yeah. So that's all I got for you officially. It was so great getting to talk to you. I'm glad that you're doing well. And
Yes.
we'll do something like this again in the future.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for having me on. It was fun.
All right. Tell roommate I said hey.
Okay.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.